This week, the Road to Worthersee Challenge starts here. Find out how much stuff this poor old car needs to make it to Germany. Hey everybody, welcome back to Throttle Grotto. So, the Road to Worthersee Challenge starts here. This is our first episode of trying to get this car done so that I can make it to make this car to Germany. Make this car to Germany. That's terrible. My diction is off today. So let me get you up to speed. If you don't know what the Road to Worthersee Challenge is, it's a challenge I issued myself. Hopefully there'll be some other YouTubers that will be interested in taking the challenge as well. The Road to Worthersee is a trip organized by Orchid Euro, and it is take your car to Germany for the Worthersee Volkswagen Audi show. And it's you spend a week or so, I think it's 14 or almost 2 weeks in Germany, and drive your car all over, see a bunch of cool stuff. It would be just an amazing experience to have in my old 75 Rabbit. So what does this car need to make it? It needs a lot of stuff. Still need to put the dash in, the heater box. I only make mounts for the heater box. I lost the clips to the heater box. Needs a wiring harness. It needs all the brakes redone. It needs, my gosh, it needs the taillights put in. It needs the pop-out windows rewired. Needs axles, it needs tires, it needs a full exhaust system front to back. And that's just the stuff I can think of like within a quick 30 seconds. The big thing, and the thing we're going to start with today, is we're going to start with the engine. It has been in the car for a couple of years, just sitting there. I had some reservations about the connecting rod bearings. There's some side play. I wanted to measure side play before I took the oil pan that I have and modify it to accept the turbo return line and put the oil pan on. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to jack it up, get underneath it, and I'm going to measure the side-to-side play on the connecting rods, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And then we'll see what else I can get done today. So, Road to Worthersee starts here. Let's get to it. We're underneath the car now, and it's not difficult to measure side play on rod bearings. Really pretty easy. So, what I was concerned about... the side play on these bearings. Now that I've looked online, looked up the specs, I'm reasonably confident that these are okay. The way you test these things is use a set of feeler gauges, and these range from, let's see, your 35. Let's see, your 15 thousandths to all the way up to, what's the thickest? I think 35 thousandths is, or 15. I honestly, like, so the way you use these is, it's kind of like when you gap your spark plugs. You just slip these into the void and measure, and they're a measuring tool for your void. So we're going to end up looking at less than, if it's less than 35 thousandths play is considered acceptable. So we're just going to use our feeler gauges, and we're going to go between, we'll start with the two that are down here. So there is a little bit of side-to-side play, but some is okay. So we'll start here with our number 1 and 4, and then I'll rotate the crank and do 2 and 3, and then that'll let me know if I'm dealing with a junk motor or if I'm dealing with something that is just fine. Most likely it's just fine, but we'll go through the procedure just for peace of mind. Alright, so I did a little more Googling before I got started, and the spec is actually 0.37 millimeters, or 0.014.5, I guess, inches. So I'm just going to go off the metric system because it's way easier to deal with. So what we do is we just use this feeler gauge. I have the 0.3561 selected. 0.356 doesn't go in, so I'm just sticking it between the rod and the crank journal to see if I have that much play. So the spec new is 0.05 millimeters, which is really thin. Which is, let's see here, 0.03, 0.064 would be an almost new specification. So 0.064 just kind of slides in there, which is okay. I mean, that's, you know, if I can slide that in there, I don't think I have too much. So those two check out to be about 0.5 or 0.6. So I think we're pretty good there. So we checked the axle clearance. There's not enough side play on these rod bearings to make me concerned. The place that I got it from told me it was a running motor. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and modify the oil pan and get the oil pan, the pickup tube, oil pump, all that stuff on here. So I'll explain real quick why I felt that I needed to do that. When I took the oil pan off initially, I don't know a lot about building motors, so I just was like, oh my god, I just wiggled the rod side to side. I was like, should there be play there? You know, and I guess in retrospect, thinking about it, yes, there should be, because things heat up and spin and need room to move and all that stuff. So it's just one of those things I wanted to check and kind of give myself peace of mind. So I feel good about it. Took just a couple minutes to check with a feeler gauge, which every one of us should have one of these just around in general for checking stuff, and that's it. So let's keep on moving forward. I hate saying that. Apologize for my workbench being an absolute sty right now, but I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we are under a deadline. So in order to figure out on the oil pan where the oil feed tube needs to mount, we need to get the turbo installed. In order to get the turbo installed, we need to remove this stud because there is a broken off stud in the turbo housing. So the easiest way to do that is to get my welder, and I'm going to probably weld a nut to that, let it cool, and then hopefully with the combination of heat and a nut on there, or actually a bolt would be easier, I should just be able to back that out. So we're going to give that a shot. After spending an hour on this thing, I ended up right back where I started, just with a nice clean broken piece of a stud instead of a chewed up piece of a stud. So I think for now, in order to keep some momentum here, I'm just going to put the turbo in with a couple of bolts. I can put it in with 2, bolt it to the block just to hold it, and start figuring out where I'm going to put this oil return line at, and mark up my oil pan, because I'm not getting that stud out today. I might have to take it to a machine shop and let them do it. I don't really have an easy out. I tried heating up the housing, tried a whole bunch of stuff, none of it worked. So, such is life. Back underneath the car, I've got the oil pan, I've got a couple of bolts. I'm going to put just 2 bolts in it, but you can see here is our oil pan return line, so we need to figure out just where this thing's going to live on the oil pan, and to do that we need to install it. So I'm not putting an oil pump and all that stuff in here because this oil pan is going to be coming back off a few times before we have this finalized. Took the oil pan back off because it's going to be way easier to work on when it's not on the car than it will be to work on it on the car. So here's what we got. So we have this is where we made our mark. It's an approximate mark, but it gets us pretty close to where we want it. And then we're just gonna try and clamp it here to hold it in place. Now we can make a few small adjustments as needed, or just completely lose where we had it. So that's, I don't know if you can see that, that's pretty good. Got our outline right about where we wanted it. So I'm going to center punch this, drill a hole, and then I'll just nut it from the back side. Do the same thing up here, and once I have the bottom one in and tight, I'll nut the top one, and then all I have to do is drill a hole from the inside for the oil return, and then there's a little rubber gasket that goes on here that seals it up to the pan. So that should be good enough to keep oil in the motor. Couldn't get my center punch to actually fit in there, so I'm just gonna drill it. All right, now we'll get a little hardware. See about getting this to tighten up to a nut. Now we'll just make sure that we're still within our marks that we made. We're pretty good. Then I'll drill the top hole. Right, so the next thing that we have to do is now I'm just going to make a mark on the center here and a center here, and wipe off a little bit of the grime here, and then we'll just intersect them and make a hole for the return tube. Well, aside from getting some nuts with a large flange on them and welding them to the inside of the pan, and then cleaning up all these little burrs, and obviously getting the metal shavings out of the pan, this is ready to go. I still need to order a gasket for that and a new one for this end, but now we've got a oil feed return. That doesn't make any sense. I've got an oil return for the turbo, so I can order up some parts, and we'll start. I still got to figure out how to get that stud out of the turbo. I might just take it to a machine shop and have them take it out, because it's probably, I've got other things I can focus my time on. You know, let them take that out. So that's it for today. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you want to keep tabs on how I'm doing with this Worthersee trip. I'll try to give you guys updates as frequently as I can. Hopefully every week I'll have an update for you guys, kind of like what we've been doing. So that's it for today. I'm drenched. I had to do a little bit of work outside on my truck. Finished up the bi-xenon retrofit on that, so now I can drive the truck because it has headlights in it again. So I had to finish that up in the rain. But that's it. So until next week, thanks for watching. Get out there and work on something, even if it's in the rain.